Commander Kate Donovan stared out the viewport of her quarters aboard the EA's Defiant. The stars streaked by as the ship traveled faster than light. In just a few hours, they would arrive at Nexus Station, home of the Galactic Senate. Kate had never expected to receive a direct summons from the Senate. Humans had only been granted provisional membership 5 years ago, and the Senate rarely paid attention to Earth. "Commander, may I come in?" Frank Martinez, her diplomatic advisor, stood at her door. His usually confident face showed worry. "Enter," Kate said, turning away from the view of space. "Please tell me you've figured out why they called us." Frank shook his head. "Nothing concrete. Our allies aren't responding to messages, even the Trillarians, who've been trading with us for years." Kate frowned. Earth had worked hard to build relationships with other species. The silence was troubling. "Dr. Wright has a theory," Frank added. "Of course he does." Kate smiled despite her worry. "Where is our science officer?" "In the lab, taking apart something he probably shouldn't." They found Alan Wright surrounded by disassembled equipment. The civilian scientist had been Earth's best choice for the mission. Brilliant, but often lost in his own thoughts. "Ah, Commander." Alan's eyes lit up. "I've been analyzing communication patterns between Senate members over the past month." "You hacked Senate communications?" Kate asked, alarmed. No, just the publicly available voting records and session timestamps." Alan pulled up a display. "Look at this unusual pattern. Secret sessions increased by 400% last month. The last time this happened was before the Tauran Empire was sanctioned." Kate felt her stomach tighten. The Taurans had been cut off from Senate resources and essentially pushed back to their home system. "You think they're planning something against Earth?" she asked. "I don't have enough data," Alan admitted, "but something big is happening." The journey to Nexus Station passed quickly. The massive structure came into view. A giant spinning wheel with spokes extending from a central hub, home to representatives from over 200 species. Usually, arriving Earth ships were greeted with standard diplomatic messages. Today, there was only automated docking instructions. No welcome, no explanation. "They're definitely giving us the cold shoulder," Frank said as they prepared to disembark. Kate adjusted her uniform. Earth Fleet's dark blue with silver trim was designed to look professional to alien eyes. "Let's not jump to conclusions. We represent all of humanity here." A delegation of Senate security officers waited at the dock. Tall, blue-skinned Jumarans with 4 arms. Their upper hands rested on weapons. "Commander Donovan," the lead officer said without the customary greeting bow. "Your team will follow us directly to Chamber Hall." "We were expecting to meet with our Senate liaison first," Frank said. The Jumaran didn't respond, simply turning and walking away. As they moved through the station's grand corridors, Kate noticed other species watching them. Some with curiosity, others with what seemed like pity. "Something's very wrong," Kate whispered to Frank. The chamber hall was enormous, built to accommodate beings of all sizes. The Senate members sat in rising tiers, with the Chancellor's platform floating in the center. All 217 Senate species were represented, which only happened during major events. Chancellor Excitalvorn hovered on the central platform. The crystalline being shimmered under the lights, voice resonating through the chamber. "Representatives of Earth, you have been summoned to receive the Senate's judgment." "Judgment?" Kate stepped forward. "We weren't aware of any trial." Murmurs spread through the chamber. The Chancellor's crystal structure pulsed with light. No trial was needed. The evidence was examined during closed sessions. By unanimous vote of the permanent members, the Senate has determined that humanity must be disbanded. The word hung in the air. Disbanded. No species had faced this declaration in living memory. "Earth's provisional status is revoked," the Chancellor continued. "All advanced technology must be surrendered. Your colonies must be abandoned. Humanity will be confined to Earth until deemed safe for galactic society." Kate felt the blood drain from her face as the magnitude of the Senate's decision hit her. They weren't just removing Earth from the Senate. They were trying to erase humanity from the stars. Silence filled the chamber hall. Kate stood frozen, trying to process the Chancellor's words. Frank stepped slightly forward, his diplomatic training taking over. Chancellor HFY War, on what grounds has the Senate made this decision? Frank's voice remained steady despite the shock. The crystalline being rotated slowly, light refracting through its body. The evidence will be presented. A large screen appeared in the center of the chamber. Images of Earth ships, military exercises, and human cities flashed across it. Humanity has demonstrated dangerous adaptability, the Chancellor said. Your species evolves too quickly, both biologically and technologically. The screen showed human soldiers in training, then cut to footage of a space mining operation, where humans worked alongside alien species. Your unpredictable innovation threatens the balance we have maintained for 10,000 years. A tall, plant-like senator rose from the middle tier. Senator Clavine of the Photosyn Collective had always been openly hostile to humans. Humans developed faster than light travel just 80 years after achieving basic spaceflight, Clavine said, fronds waving. Such advancement took other species centuries, if not millennia. More images appeared. Earth laboratories, weapons testing, and space stations under construction. Kate felt her anger rising. You're punishing us for being efficient. The Chancellor's crystals darkened. We are protecting the galaxy from your biological aggression. The screen now showed carefully selected clips. A human miner pushing past an alien in a narrow tunnel. Earth security forces arresting a non-human for smuggling. Children playing war games. These are taken completely out of context, Alan whispered to Kate. That mine incident was during an emergency evacuation. A small furry senator with 6 eyes spoke next. Humans respond to threats with immediate force. Their first instinct is violence. That's not true, Kate said firmly. Our history shows we prefer diplomacy. Does it? Chancellor HFY War asked. New images appeared. Earth's wars, from ancient battles to modern conflicts. Kate realized with horror that the Senate had been watching Earth long before making contact. They had compiled humanity's worst moments while ignoring the context and growth. We have observed your kind for over 200 years, said a reptilian senator. Your species spends more resources on weapons than any provisional member in history. Kate stepped forward. Because we were alone. We didn't know other intelligent life existed. Once we joined the galactic community, our military spending decreased by 60%. Too little, too late, Senator Clavine said. The Senate has decided. Chancellor HFY War's voice echoed through the chamber. Earth will surrender all faster-than-light technology, all weapons beyond your early 21st century level, and submit to permanent monitoring stations on your world and colonies. Kate looked around the chamber, searching for any sympathetic faces. Most species avoided her gaze. Some looked genuinely afraid of humans. And if we refuse? Kate asked, though she already knew the answer. Correction measures will be implemented, the Chancellor said coldly. Your outposts will be disabled first, then your orbital infrastructure. Earth itself will be last. Frank stepped closer to Kate. They're threatening our entire civilization, he whispered. You have 30 Earth days to begin compliance, the Chancellor continued. A Senate delegation will arrive at Earth to oversee the process. Kate's mind raced. 30 days wasn't enough time to evacuate their colonies, let alone prepare any kind of response. This wasn't a negotiation. It was an ultimatum. This meeting is concluded, Chancellor HFY War announced. The human representatives will be escorted back to their vessel. As Senate security approached, Kate noticed one senator, a gray-skinned being with large eyes, making a subtle hand gesture toward her. It was a symbol used by interstellar traders meaning not what it seems. At least one Senate member was trying to tell her something. We will deliver your message to Earth, Kate said formally to the Chancellor. She kept her voice level despite her racing heart. But I don't believe this is the end of the discussion. As they were escorted out, Alan whispered, Commander, during the presentation, I detected unusual scanning signals directed at us. Kate nodded slightly. This wasn't just about disbanding humanity. The Senate wanted something from Earth, and they were willing to destroy human civilization to get it. The EA's Defiant left Nexus Station at full speed. Kate ordered all systems checked for tampering before they jumped to faster-than-light travel. She couldn't shake the feeling they were being watched. Kate, Frank, and Alan gathered in the secure meeting room. The walls were designed to block any scanning or listening devices. They were scanning us, Alan said, setting up his equipment. Not just normal security scans. They were looking for something specific. Kate rubbed her temples. Start from the beginning. What exactly did you detect? Ellen brought up a display showing energy patterns. These signatures appeared during the Chancellor's speech. They targeted our brains specifically, not our technology. Our brains. Frank looked alarmed. Why would they scan our neural patterns? I don't know, Alan admitted. But I found something else. He pulled up ship logs from the journey to Nexus Station. 3 Senate ships changed course to follow us at a distance. I only noticed it when I compared our flight path with nearby traffic. Kate leaned forward. And now? 2 ships are trailing us back to Earth. They're staying just beyond our standard sensor range. Kate walked to the window, watching the stars blur as they traveled faster than light. The Senate gives us an impossible ultimatum, scans our brains, and then follows us home. This isn't just about disbanding humanity. I managed to access some unsecured Senate communications, Frank said. 3 major factions have been arguing about Earth for months. The Photosin Collective wants us eliminated completely. That doesn't surprise me, Kate said. What about the others? The Crystal Alignment. Chancellor Xydelvorn's people pushed for the technology surrender option. But the third group, the Eldmar Consortium, has been strangely quiet despite normally being very vocal. The gray-skinned senator who signaled you is from the Eldmar, Alan added. Kate nodded. We need to get back to Earth as fast as possible. 30 days isn't much time. The journey back felt much longer than the trip to Nexus Station. When they finally reached Earth, Kate was struck by how beautiful and vulnerable the blue planet looked. A transmission came through as they approached Earth orbit. President Olivia Hernandez's face appeared on screen. Commander Donovan, we've received your preliminary report. The United Defense Council is waiting for your full briefing. 2 hours later, Kate stood before the council in the underground facility beneath New Geneva. Leaders from every major Earth nation and colony sat around a large table. The room was tense and quiet as Kate finished explaining the Senate's ultimatum. President Hernandez stood up. Her dark hair was streaked with gray, her face showing the weight of her office. So we have 30 days before they arrive to start dismantling everything we've built. Yes, Madam President, Kate replied. Though I believe there's more to this than they're telling us. General Peterson, a tall man with a stern face, spoke next. We've been preparing for potential alien hostility since first contact. We have options. Military options won't be enough, Alan said. The Senate controls thousands of worlds. We're outnumbered and outgunned. But they're afraid of us for some reason, Frank added. That gives us an advantage. President Hernandez walked to the window overlooking the lake. I'm calling an emergency global conference. Every nation, every colony representative. This affects all humanity. Kate noticed movement on one of the security screens. What's that? Everyone turned to look. The screen showed multiple objects entering the solar system. Those aren't scheduled arrivals, General Peterson said, checking his tablet. Ellen studied the readings. They matched the energy signatures of Senate observer ships. They're positioning themselves at the edge of our system. They're not waiting 30 days, Kate said grimly. They're watching us right now. President Hernandez's face hardened with resolve. Then we'll give them something to see. Humanity will not go quietly into the night. Outside the window, the sun began to set over New Geneva. Beyond Earth's atmosphere, unseen by the naked eye, Senate ships moved into position, watching and waiting for humanity's response. Jack Summers wiped sweat from his forehead, despite the freezing temperatures. The Arctic Research Station was heated, but drilling through 2 miles of ancient ice made the work hot and tiring. As head geologist of the International Research Team, Jack had spent 3 years looking for evidence of climate patterns from Earth's distant past. "Jack, you need to see this," called Lisa, his assistant. Her voice trembled with excitement or fear. Jack couldn't tell which. He walked over to her monitoring station. The drill had reached its target depth, but the readings made no sense. "That can't be right," Jack said, checking the equipment. "These energy patterns, they're not natural." "And look at this." Lisa pointed to another screen showing a 3-dimensional scan of what lay beneath the ice. "That's not a rock formation." Jack stared at the image. Hidden 2 miles under the Arctic ice was something clearly artificial, a smooth oval object approximately 50 feet long. According to their dating equipment, it had been there for over 2 billion years. "We need to call this in," Jack said, reaching for the secure communication line. Now, thousands of miles away, Sofia Rodriguez was working late in her laboratory at the Global Defense Research Center. As Earth's leading expert on energy weapons, she had been tasked with something that seemed impossible just days ago: creating a defense system that could protect Earth from an advanced alien fleet. Her current project used the moon as a massive reflector for concentrated solar energy. The math worked, but the engineering seemed impossible with current technology. A call came through on her secure line. The caller ID showed it was from the president's office. "Ms. Rodriguez," President Hernandez said when Sofia answered, "how quickly can your lunar defense system be operational?" Sofia hesitated. "The simulations work, but we'd need at least 6 months to." "We don't have 6 months," the president interrupted. "We have 27 days. Before Sofia could respond, the president continued, "And there's something else. A research team in the Arctic has found something you need to see. I'm sending you the files now." Sofia opened the incoming data package. Her eyes widened as she saw the scans of the object under the ice. "Is that what I think it is?" she whispered. "An alien artifact, billions of years old," President Hernandez confirmed. "And somehow, it started activating since the Senate ships arrived." At the United Defense Council headquarters, Commander Kate Donovan reviewed the global response plans. Every nation on Earth had set aside their differences in the face of the Senate's threat. Old enemies were now working together, sharing resources and technology. "Commander," a young officer called from the communication station, "we're receiving a transmission from the Arctic Research Facility. They've extracted the artifact." The main screen lit up showing Jack Summers standing next to the oval object. It was smooth and metallic with strange symbols etched across its surface. Parts of it glowed with a soft blue light. "We've run every test we can think of," Jack explained. "It's made of materials we can't even identify. But the strangest thing is how it reacts to human proximity." Jack moved closer to the artifact. The blue glow intensified. "It responds specifically to human brain patterns," Jack continued. "When we brought in test subjects from different species, dogs, dolphins, even some of our alien allies, nothing happened. But with humans," Jack placed his hand on the artifact. The symbols lit up brightly, and a holographic display appeared above it showing star maps and strange equations. "We think this is why the Senate wants us gone," Jack said. "Somehow, only humans can activate this technology." Dr. Alan Wright, who had been analyzing the Senate's brain scans, suddenly looked up. "That's what they were scanning for on Nexus Station. They wanted to know if we were aware of this connection." President Hernandez turned to Kate. "It's time to implement Protocol Omega." Kate nodded grimly. Protocol Omega had been developed years ago as Earth's last resort against hostile alien contact, a plan so radical that many had dismissed it as impossible. "We have less than 4 weeks," the president said. And we'll need every human working together to pull this off. Outside, Senate observer ships continued their silent watch, unaware that humanity had just discovered the real reason behind their attempted disbandment. The Senate observer ships reported unusual activity around Earth. Hundreds of ships were being prepared in orbital shipyards and on the surface. From their distant monitoring positions, the Senate observers assumed Earth was preparing for war. They were wrong. In the main assembly hall of the United Defense Council, President Hernandez addressed representatives from every Earth nation and colony. Protocol Omega is not about fighting, she explained, pointing to the display showing hundreds of smaller ships being loaded. It's about communication. The Senate speaks for its member species, but rarely do those species speak directly to each other. Kate stood beside the president, watching the faces of the assembled leaders. Some showed doubt, others determination. Instead of one large fleet, we send hundreds of small diplomatic vessels, Kate added. One to each homeworld of every Senate species, not to their governments, but directly to their people. Frank Martinez stepped forward. Each ship carries the same package, Earth's complete, unfiltered history, our wars, our art, our failures, and our triumphs. Most Senate species only know what their governments tell them, Allen explained. Many don't even know the Senate has ordered our disbandment. President Hernandez nodded. If we can't appeal to the Senate, we'll appeal to the people they claim to represent. Across Earth, the greatest logistical operation in human history was underway. Ships were prepared, crews trained, and packages assembled. Every vessel needed a human ambassador who could speak directly to alien populations. In her lab, Sofia Rodriguez worked day and night on the lunar defense system. It wasn't designed as a weapon anymore, but as the most powerful communication tool ever built. If we adjust the reflectors this way, she explained to her team, we can project images visible from thousands of light years away. At the Arctic Research Facility, Jack Summers made a breakthrough with the ancient artifact. It's responding to our DNA, he told Kate over a secure channel. Something in human genetics resonates with this technology. We think the Senate leaders have known this for centuries. The artifact had begun projecting star maps showing paths to other similar devices scattered throughout the galaxy, all hidden on worlds far from Senate control. The deadline was approaching fast. 23 days had passed since the Senate's ultimatum. Their delegation would arrive in just a week, expecting Earth's surrender. Kate stood on the bridge of the EE's Defiant, watching as the diplomatic fleet prepared to depart. 532 ships, each with a small crew and one ambassador. Commander, Frank said, joining her at the viewport. The Senate observers have moved closer. They've detected our fleet preparing to launch. Kate smiled. Good. Let them see. They expect us to either surrender or fight. They don't expect this. President Hernandez's voice came through the communication system, broadcasting to every ship and every person on Earth. Today, we launch Protocol Omega. Not with weapons, but with truth. Not with threats, but with our history. The Senate tried to paint us as dangerous and violent. Instead of denying it, we'll show the galaxy who we really are. All of us. The good and the bad. At precisely the same moment, all 532 ships activated their faster-than-light drives. The Senate observers sent urgent messages back to Nexus Station, reporting that Earth had launched an attack fleet. The Galactic Senate called an emergency session. Chancellor Xydelvorn's crystalline form pulsed with angry light. Earth has violated the terms of our ultimatum, the Chancellor announced. They have launched hundreds of vessels. Senator Clavine's plant-like body shook with alarm. Are they attacking us? Before anyone could answer, reports began flooding in from across the galaxy. Earth ships were appearing near every Senate homeworld, not in attack formations, but in standard diplomatic approach patterns. What are they doing? Chancellor Xydelvorn demanded. An aide rushed into the chamber, interrupting protocol. Chancellor, the Earth vessels are broadcasting directly to our populations. They're bypassing all our communication controls. The Senate erupted in chaos. On hundreds of worlds, citizens were receiving direct messages from Earth representatives. The message was the same everywhere. People of the galaxy, we are humanity. The Senate has ordered our disbandment. But before you judge us, we ask you to know us. This is our true story. On the Central Senate communication screen, images of Earth's history began to play, unfiltered, honest, and powerful. The Senate chamber had never been so chaotic. Reports flooded in from every member world as Earth's diplomatic ships delivered their messages. Chancellor Exilvorn tried to maintain order, but even the most loyal Senate supporters were demanding answers. Why were we not told the full truth about humans? Asked a small, insect-like senator. They are showing our people their wars, cried another, but also their music, their art, their efforts to overcome their violent past. On hundreds of worlds, alien populations watched in fascination as Earth's unfiltered history played out before them. Unlike the sanitized histories most Senate species presented, Earth's record showed everything, their greatest atrocities alongside their most noble achievements. They hid nothing. Kate Donovan had taken the most dangerous assignment herself, delivering Earth's message directly to the crystalline homeworld of Chancellor Exilvorn. The E-8's Defiant orbited the glittering planet, broadcasting continuously despite attempts to jam their signal. Commander, Alan called from his station. Something's happening with the artifact. On the screen, Jack Summers stood beside the ancient object. It was now fully activated, glowing with brilliant blue light that filled the entire Arctic facility. The artifact is projecting a message, Jack said, his voice filled with awe. It's not just a device. It's a message from the precursors. Everyone in the Senate chamber went silent at the word precursors. The legendary founders of the Galactic Senate had disappeared millions of years ago, leaving only fragments of their advanced technology. Above the artifact, a holographic figure appeared, tall, with features that seemed somehow familiar yet alien. When it spoke, the words automatically translated into every known language. We are those you call the precursors, the figure said. If this message has activated, then our experiment has reached its conclusion. In the Senate chamber, Chancellor Exilvorn's crystalline form trembled. This cannot be happening. The human ship must be broadcasting a fake message. But similar holograms were appearing above every precursor artifact across the galaxy, all speaking the same words, all activated at the same moment. We did not vanish, the hologram continued. We evolved beyond physical form. Before leaving, we created tests throughout the galaxy, crucibles to forge species worthy of becoming our successors. A hologram shifted to show a familiar blue planet, Earth. This world was our greatest experiment. We shaped it to produce beings with both the capacity for destruction and creation, with adaptability and compassion, with curiosity and caution. Beings who could one day join us. The Senate chamber erupted again. One senator, the gray-skinned being who had signaled to Kate at the previous meeting, stood up. I am Senator Kelter of the Eltmar, he announced. For centuries, I have studied the precursor artifacts. They all pointed to Earth, but the Senate leadership suppressed my findings. Kelter turned to face Chancellor Exilvorn. Tell them the truth, Chancellor. Tell them what the permanent Senate members have done for millennia. The Chancellor's crystal form darkened. The Senate exists to maintain order, to prevent chaos. To prevent competition, Kelter corrected. Your people, along with the other founding species, have been suppressing emerging civilizations for thousands of years, especially those who might connect with precursor technology. On Earth, President Hernandez watched the Senate broadcast with her advisors. Sofia Rodriguez rushed into the room. The lunar system is ready, she announced. We can project our message across the entire galaxy. Activate it, the president ordered. In orbit around Earth, Sophia's creation came to life. The moon's surface became a giant reflector, focusing and redirecting the sun's energy to create a display of light and color visible across vast distances of space. It wasn't a weapon. It was a work of art, a demonstration of human creativity and technical skill combined into something beautiful. In the Senate chamber, even Chancellor Exilvorn fell silent as the lunar display became visible on their monitors. No species had ever created something so pointlessly beautiful on such a massive scale. The precursor hologram smiled. This is why humans are different. They create beauty even in their darkest hour. They cooperate even with those they once fought. They are ready to join the greater community, not as subjects, but as equals. 3 months had passed since the day the precursor's message changed everything. The great hall that once housed the Galactic Senate had been transformed. The rising tiers of seats were now arranged in a circle, with no position higher than others. Representatives from all species sat together, including humans. Kate Donovan watched as President Hernandez addressed the newly formed Galactic Assembly. The old Senate had collapsed within days of the precursor revelation, as member species demanded reform. Humanity does not seek to rule, President Hernandez said to the assembled representatives. We propose a true partnership of equals. No permanent members with special powers. No secret votes. No suppression of emerging species. Many representatives nodded in agreement. The Earth ships had changed minds across the galaxy by sharing humanity's unfiltered history. Seeing humans acknowledge their mistakes and strive to be better had resonated with billions of alien citizens. In a corner of the hall, Chancellor Exilvorn stood with the few remaining supporters of the old system. The crystalline being had lost most of its brilliant luster, now appearing dull and clouded. They will destroy everything we built, Exilvorn said bitterly to a companion. Chaos will follow. Kate approached the former chancellor. Not chaos. Change. There's a difference. Your kind moves too quickly. Exilvorn responded. The galaxy needs stability. It needs growth, Kate countered. The precursors didn't build the Senate to maintain the status quo forever. They built it as a beginning. Across the galaxy, humans were helping other species in ways the Senate never had. Jack Summers led a team studying precursor artifacts on dozens of worlds. Each device responded to human touch, revealing new knowledge and technologies. Sofia Rodriguez had adapted her lunar display system to help terraform barren planets, reflecting sunlight to warm cold worlds. What began as a potential weapon had become a tool for creation. Most surprisingly, several younger species had requested human assistance to develop their own space programs. The Senate had always controlled which species could access faster-than-light technology. Now, humans were helping others reach for the stars. Senator Keltar joined Kate and the former chancellor. The Assembly has approved the Earth proposal, he said. The new charter will be signed today. Zilvorn's crystal form darkened further. You do not understand what you are unleashing. Perhaps not, Kate admitted. But isn't that the point? The precursors wanted species that could face the unknown. That's what humans do best. On a view screen, they could see one of the first joint human-alien missions departing for uncharted space. The ship carried representatives from 12 species, including some that had been enemies for centuries. Frank Martinez entered the hall, smiling as he approached Kate. The first colony ships are ready. 3 new worlds open for settlement by any species. And the Academy? Kate asked. Opening next month. We already have students from over 40 worlds. President Hernandez concluded her address with thunderous applause. As representatives mingled afterward, Kate noticed several younger aliens approaching Exilvorn with questions. Despite everything, they still respected the ancient being's knowledge. They aren't abandoning the past, Alan said, joining Kate, just building on it. That's what humans have always done. Kate smiled. The Senate tried to disband humanity because they feared change. Instead, humanity changed the Senate. President Hernandez walked over to join them. The precursor artifacts are activating on more worlds. Jack thinks they're responding to the cooperation between species. What happens now? Kate asked. The president looked out at the diverse gathering of beings from across the galaxy. Some floated, some crawled, some walked on varying numbers of limbs. All were talking, sharing ideas, making plans. "Now we do what humans have always done when facing something new," she said. "We adapt. We learn. We grow." From the observation deck, they could see Earth in the distance, a small blue planet that had nearly been erased from the galactic stage. Instead, it had transformed the galaxy with a simple, powerful idea: that the truth, honestly shared, was stronger than any weapon. In the great darkness between the stars, ancient precursor devices continued to activate, one by one. The experiment was complete. The next great adventure was just beginning. As the former chancellor watched the proceedings, a small change occurred in the crystalline being's structure. For the first time in millennia, Alvorn felt something unexpected: curiosity about what might come next.